So in this video, I'm going to be working on the 2.4 to 2.5 quiz review. The first set wants me to use square roots to solve each equation and to write my solutions using the imaginary unit I. So, first one, I just want to start off by taking my square root. Because I have the square root of a negative number, I'm going to get I as part of my answer. And I can take the square root of 81, that is a perfect square. That gets me 9. Because I personally drew that square root symbol, it is going to be plus or minus. So I get two answers. On number 2, same idea. I want to take the square root of both sides. But 625 is not a perfect square. So I want to go ahead and factor tree this. 625 I know is divisible by 5 because it ends in a 5. I don't know what else, so I'm going to do 625 divided by 5 on my calculator, which gets me 125. It's divisible by 5, which gives me 25. Which gets me 5 and 5. This one actually is a perfect square. So, because I have two groups of 5, I'm going to take each group and multiply it together. So 5 times 5 gets me 25. So I have x equals plus or minus 25i, because it was negative again. Same thing over here, take my square root. The square root of 196 is, I know that one's perfect, I don't remember what it is, 14. So I get plus or minus 14i. Number 4 wants me to simplify each expression, so this is kind of like combining like terms. I'm going to put my real numbers together. Negative 2 plus 5 is 3. 3i minus 2i is just I. Over here I have negative 6 plus 6, that's 0. Positive 7 minus 7 is, again, 0, so I need to write something. Here I have 8 plus 6, that gets me 14. 5i minus 7i gives me negative 2i. Number 7 through 9 wants me to write the product in the form a plus bi. So I am going to do this by hand, and then I'll show you with one of them at the end how you can do it on the calculator. So I have 4 times negative 5 gives me negative 20. 4 times 4i is 16i. Negative 3i times negative 5i is 15i. Negative 3i times positive 4i is negative 12i squared. So I still have the negative 20 up front. I'm going to combine like terms in the middle. That is going to give me 31i. And then I have minus 12. Anytime I have an I squared, I want to replace that with a negative 1. So I have negative 20 plus 31i plus 12, because negative 12 times negative 1. And I want to combine the negative 20 and the 12 together, which gives me negative 8 plus 31i. So same thing on number 8. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. 2 times 6i is 12i. Negative I times negative 3 is positive 3i. Negative I times 6i is negative 6i squared. So I get negative 6 plus 15i minus 6 times negative 1. That's going to turn that into a positive 6. Negative 6 plus 6 cancels those out, so I am left with 15i. Over here, 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 3i is 15i. Negative 3i times 5 is negative 15i. Negative 3i times 3i is negative 9i squared. So then I have 25. The middle terms cancel out. Then I have minus 9 times negative 1. Negative 9 times 1 is adding. 25 plus 9 is 34. So I said I was going to show you how to do this on the calculator. So I'm going to do number 7 on the calculator. I have 4 minus 3. To get the I want to go second and then the decimal all the way down here. See how it has a little blue I for me? I click that and then I get that right here. And then I'm going to do parentheses negative 5 plus 4 second decimal. And then I'm going to get this out of the light. When I press enter, it gives me negative 8 plus 31i, which is the same thing as what I did by hand. Okay. These want me to solve by completing the square. So what I'm going to do here is this one actually is already a perfect square. If I factor, I look for what multiplies to 25 and adds to negative 10. That is negative 5 twice. So I have x minus 5 squared equals 4. I want to go ahead and square root both sides. X minus 5 equals plus or minus 2. So I'm going to set this up as two equations to solve. Oops, x minus 5. So I have x minus 5 equals 2, x minus 5 equals negative 2. I add the 5 to both sides, x equals 7. Over here I add 5 to both sides, x equals 3. Same thing on number 11. I'm looking for what multiplies to 1 and adds to 2. That is 1 and 1. So I have x plus 1 squared equals 49. I want to go ahead and take the square root of both sides. That gets me x plus 1 equals plus or minus 7. And I split this up into two equations. X plus 1 equals 7. X plus 1 equals negative 7. First one I subtract 1 on both sides, I get x equals 6. Second one, when I subtract 1, I get x equals negative 8. Okay. These ones want me to write the equation in the form x plus p squared equals q. This is completing the square. So what I want to do is I want to take half of my b value. So I'm going to do 6 divided by 2, which gives me 3. And actually, first thing I want to do is move that 10 over. So I have x squared plus 6x equals negative 10. Then I want to take the 6 and divide by 2, which gives me 3. So now I'm going to add 3 squared to both sides. Because what I do to one side, I want to do to the other. Then I'm going to go ahead and rewrite 3 squared, which gives me 9. On the left side, I want to factor, so I'm looking for what multiplies to 9 and adds to 6. This should be the number I got up above, so this is 3. So I have x plus 3 squared there. And then over here, negative 10 plus 9 is negative 1. Then I want to keep solving. No, I don't want to keep solving. This one just wants it in this form. Next one, I want to get all my x's on one side and all of my constants on the other. So I'm going to subtract 3x on both sides. That gets me x squared plus 2x equals 11. So same thing, I want to take the 2 and divide by 2, which gives me 1. So I'm going to add 1 squared to both sides. So 1 squared is 1. Then I want to factor this side. I'm looking for what multiplies to 1 and adds to 2. That is 1. And then it equals 12. Okay, these ones are solving by completing the square. So similar to what I just did, I want to add 1 to both sides. I have x squared plus 10x equals 1. Then I'm looking for half of 10, which is 5. So I'm going to add 5 squared to both sides. I'm going to rewrite 5 squared, which is 25. On the left side, I want to factor. I'm looking for what multiplies to 25 and adds to 10. Again, it should be this number up above, which is 5. 1 plus 25 is 26. I'm going to go ahead and square root both sides because I'm actually solving now. On the left, I get x plus 5 equals plus or minus because I drew the square root. I want to see if 26 is factorable. It's 2 and 13. I can't go anymore, so I'm going to leave the square root of 26 under a radical. Then I want to go ahead and subtract 5 on both sides. Typically, we write whole numbers in front of radicals first, so I have negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 26. Same idea for number 15. I want to add 7 to both sides. I have x squared plus 2x equals 7. Then I want to go ahead and look for half of my b value. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. I'm going to add 1 squared to both sides. So 1 squared is 1. Then I want to factor my left side. I'm looking for what multiplies to 1 and adds to 2. That is 1. And then I add 7 and 1 on the right side. Then I want to take my square root. It's going to leave me with x plus 1 on the left, plus and minus on the right. I want to factor tree my 8. It gives me 2 and 4, and 4 breaks down to 2 and 2. So I have a pair of 2's. That goes outside. I have a leftover 2. That stays inside. Then I just want to subtract my 1 on both sides. I get x equals negative 1 plus or minus 2 square root of 2. These cannot go together, this negative 1 and this 2, because this 2 is attached to that radical. So this is my final answer here. Okay, these ones want me to write the equation in vertex form. So I'm going to complete the square again. I want to find half of my b value, which is negative 3. So when I'm doing it with the equation, I'm going to write y equals x squared minus 6. And then I'm going to first start off by adding what I'm squaring, and then I'm going to subtract it, because I want to do the same as adding 0. So if I add something and then immediately subtract it, it is canceling out, and it still has the plus 4 at the end. Then I want to evaluate negative 3 squared, which is 9. So I'm going to put these in 2 groups. I'm going to have this group, which is my quadratic, and this group, which is just my numbers. So then I want to factor my first part. That is going to be x minus 3. Again, should be half that value I got. Squared, because there's 2 of those. And then I just want to do negative 9 plus 4, which gives me negative 5. So same idea for number 17. I want to take half of 14, which is 7. So I'm going to rewrite this. I am going to first add 7 squared, and then subtract 7. Oops, there was the parenthesis in the wrong spot. Subtract 7 squared. You always add first and then subtract when you're completing the square with an equation, because you always want the positive value with the quadratic. So then I'm going to evaluate 7 squared, which is 49. And I'm going to put those into my 2 groups. My first group, I'm going to look at what factors. So what multiplies to 49 and adds to 14. That is the 7. And then negative 49 plus 50 is just 1. This is my final answer here. My last question says, a polar bear dives under the surface of the ocean to catch a seal. An equation that describes the polar bear's path is d equals t squared minus 4t plus 2, where d represents the depth in feet and t represents the seconds. The polar bear catches the seal at the deepest point of the dive. How deep was the seal swimming, and how many feet above the ocean did the polar bear start his dive? So, I'm going to start off with this last question, actually. This is really asking me for my y-intercept. So, this is if I plug in 0 for all of those t's. That will just give me 2. So, he starts at 2 feet above. Okay. For how deep the seal was swimming, I can do this by writing the equation in vertex form, which I did up above. I can find my vertex by hand, or personally, I like using my calculator. So I'm going to take this equation, and I'm going to type it into my calculator. So I have y equals, instead of the t's, I want to do x's. So I have x squared minus 4x plus 2. And I'm going to go to my graph. And then I want to, this one is U-shaped, so that means it has a minimum. I'm going to go second, trace, and choose trace 3 for minimum. I press enter for a point on the left side. Then the black text right here should change to say right bound. I arrow over to cross my minimum on the right side, and I press enter twice. This gives me a value. X is my time, Y is my feet, so -2 feet. So -2 feet or 2 feet below sea level.